Okay guys, I'm on my way to the Capitol. I'm on foot, so I'm a little out of breath. And I am going in to sit on this border issue. And I have both a Senate and a House pass. And so I'm headed in. And so we can see what's going on with this border. Peace. Pretty quiet out here today. They make you, I actually tried to find the Congressional Black Caucus office, but I have yet to find that. It's almost like they're hiding. But the thing is, we have so much representation, yet so little. Okay, this is Gigi, guys. I'm going to take it from here. I'm just going to record from here instead of letting the video play, because after a while it kind of gets noisy in the background, and it's just easier for me to just kind of record my narration here. But so I went down to Congress today. I was able to get a House and Senate pass. Very concerned about the border for a lot of reasons. I'll get into that a little later. But I also wanted to see the Congressional Black Caucus. I want to make contact with them. It's so hard to do that, but I will eventually. And so they did not allow me to take anything into the chambers, the House chambers. Not anyone. No, you can't take anything in there. They didn't even let me take my pen. And so that wasn't good for me, because I'm used to taking notes. You know, I'm not good with people's names, and so I don't know all of the representatives' names. I know a lot of their faces, but not their names. There were a lot of people that were not there, at least in the House chambers. There was a lot going on today, so I missed a lot of people, but I did hear a couple of representatives talk and address the Speaker of the House, and it was cool. I'm a Washingtonian, and so DC is my beat. I have a background in journalism, but a lot of you know I wrote a book, and thank you guys for patronizing me and buying the book and supporting me, and so I appreciate it. If you haven't, go to my website and pick up a copy of Marked, The Beginning of the End. It's my prophetic, it's what I believe that the Holy Spirit told me years ago, and I'll get into some of that as well here. But it's available. You can get it at my website. You can also get it on Amazon. And so download it if you want to know what God's agenda is moving forward, outside of all of the other crap that you hear from these preachers and all of the doom and gloom and everything else. And there's going to be some doom and gloom, I have to say that. But there's also going to be some things that we've never seen before. And I believe that Marked, my book, is one of those stories that is going to introduce some of the things that we will see. A lot of people don't, some of my friends don't get it, you know, it's a bit too much supernatural for them. But, you know, I'm a PK. My father was a bishop. So I was raised in the church, you know, and it's how I was socialized, so it's how I see things. And I do believe, you know, I've always been told I had gifts, but I just do believe that this was inspired by the Holy Spirit. I don't like to talk about my gifts a lot, and I won't. Matter of fact, people who have prophetic gifts, if it caused me a lot of pain in life, but I do believe that I have a very good idea of what we are going to see as far as the kingdom of heaven. Anyway, so moving on. I went down to Congress today, and it was interesting. I'm a little concerned about the border because of some dreams that I had around 2016 is when I started having dreams. I was never a dreamer, but I started having dreams around 2016, and they were kind of scary for me. And so I'm starting to see a pattern that could actually take us into those dreams. And I never thought of the immigration issue being a part of that pattern. But now I'm starting to kind of connect. And I'll get into that a little later as well. But really, our safety is really, really, really compromised right now, more than what we think. Because the country has already been overrun. Okay, some people say 3 million within the last 3 years. They actually said today that 300,000 that came in in December 2023 that came through the southern border. That was the largest amount of illegal immigrants that have come into this country ever in the history of the United States. They had a representative that spoke to the speaker from Texas. It was not Greg Abbott, it was another guy, but again, I didn't catch his name. But he spoke, and he basically talked about the border. Florida talked about and supported getting this border taken care of. Texas talked about it. There were other agendas there going on, so everybody wasn't talking about the border. Some people had other agendas that they wanted to end hunger, you know, and other stuff, other representatives. But so when the representative from Texas got up, he talked about the border. He talked about how much fentanyl, how many drugs, how much child trafficking is going on. And these are the things that they've just been able to catch. So imagine how much has gotten across the border without them being able to catch it, because they just can't handle that border because it's just too much. I don't believe that they have opened our borders for the sake of getting new votes or whatever, having people vote for the Democratic Party, or, you know, working for a low wage. You know how they say, oh, you know, they just want low wage workers, or they just want votes, yada, yada, yada. No, I believe that they have opened those borders because they are allowing a militia to come into the United States. You have to think, they know the American citizen is fed up with the government and all of their rhetoric and BS. They know that. They know that the American people, they know that because everybody is Trump, 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 Trump. So, you know, and I believe that was one of Trump's, something that he was just supposed to do to kind of stir up that pot. But they know that we're fed up. And I don't want a civil war, you know, so they have to protect themselves because, remember, we outnumber them. We outnumber them. If you looked at my last video, you saw this immigrant who was crossing the border illegally and then had the audacity to say, we're going to know who he is. I mean, what kind of crap is that? And then he gets across the border? Somebody didn't stop him? But God, because a lot of the people that they're letting in for this militia, I'm telling you, those people are going to turn on them as well. But this gets me back to the dream that I was having, that I had in 2016. First of all, our skies had been overtaken by airplanes. I looked out my window, this is all in the dream, and when I looked up, I could not see the sky. I could not see, and it was night. I couldn't see the cloud. I couldn't see a sky at all. All I saw was planes. So whoever these people were, they had infiltrated the United States by air. And there were so many planes out there that you couldn't even really see the sky. And so that's where it all started. Then I had another dream where there was a militia, and it was actually on foot. They were going door to door to door. And so, that really scared me because I'm like, these people are going to be coming to your door. This is not going to be some type of a battle where, they're fighting it over in a field where nobody is. No, they plan on coming to your door. And I saw so many vivid things that I'm not going to get into in that dream as far as them coming to your door. But let me tell you one thing that stuck with me. I never could understand. I couldn't figure out what army was what, or who was who. I didn't know if it was the American army that was coming to people's doors and cutting off their heads, or if this was a foreign. It was like there were a whole lot of different type of militias it was just chaotic. And doesn't that sound like a connection to what's happening now with all of these immigrants coming into this country? I mean, like I was saying, some say 3 million, but I've heard as much as 8 million have come in this country within the last 3 years. Come on now. Think about that. Think about that. The people that are coming to the country are not vetted at all. So they could be bringing measles, they could be bringing smallpox, they could be bringing anything over here. So these are the things that I'm concerned about, and not just because it's affected me, but it's like, what is going on? This has to stop, and this has to stop now. And I'm just not understanding why these politicians are not stopping this. And so it's scary. And guess what? It could be the politicians aren't stopping it because they want that army, that small army and militia to come in so that that small army and militia can make sure that they're safe and not overtaken by the American people. So I hope they don't take this down. YouTube is still up to their same antics, but I mean, it's just what I believe. You know, it's just, I can't prove it. I don't have the blueprint or anything like that. It's just what I believe is happening. And I don't hear enough people talking about it. When they talk about immigration, they're talking about drugs and child trafficking, and all of that is going on. Another issue is that the Texas representative was talking about how as soon as Joe Biden got into office, you know, he overturned everything that Trump put in place for immigration and the border just by an executive order. What person would get into office and immediately put in an executive order to open the border back up, other than a person who knows that that agenda has to be done, you know? And I was a Trumper. I voted for Trump both times. I backed Trump from 2016. I was, you know, riding with Trump. But I don't feel that way anymore. I don't. And there are a lot of reasons, but one of the issues that I feel, I feel like Trump knew. I just feel like he's a part of it. In 2020, I believe Trump won that election. I don't believe Joe Biden stole it. I believe Trump won the 2020 election. But because of the agenda, which is what we're seeing now, he couldn't take office because it goes against everything that he supposedly stood for. And so they had to give it to Biden so Biden could take the blunt of everything that's going on. So we could always say, look what Biden did. No, look what they did. This was all a plan. It was all put in motion. And, that's just my take. Remember the Shay Moss and her mom, the two black women in Georgia, who they had on camera with the ballots and stuff? Don't you find that ironic how now Giuliani said that was all a lie and they, those women were innocent and they got the medal of innocence or whatever from Joe Biden and all that? It's bull. BS, guys. It's a whole big show that we're watching, a whole movie that we're watching, and they're all involved. And so the only way that we have a chance is if we unify and do something on our behalf. Otherwise, we're just going to be overtaken, just like in those dreams. All kinds of stuff going on. And these people are going to be somewhere in a bunker. But I have news for them because, they're not going to be able to hide either. I don't know why they believe that they're going to be able to do these things and get away with it and go hide in a bunker. No, not happening. Not happening. But anyway, very interesting day, guys. Very interesting day. I did get to sit in the House chamber. Got to hear a couple of politicians address the speaker about immigration and what's going on. But I still kind of left out of there like, wow, America is in trouble. So, if you want a little uplifting, go to my website, go to Amazon, pick up my book, Mark, The Beginning of the End, and it will give you insight into what the kingdom of heaven has planned. We already know what the kingdom of darkness. There's only two kingdoms working in the earth and beyond, and that's the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of darkness. That's it. And so we know what the kingdom of darkness has in plan, but what does the kingdom of heaven have in plan? It's not all doom and gloom. There is some doom and gloom, but it's not all doom and gloom. It's going to be a whole lot of beautiful things that we see that I believe the Holy Spirit has shown me. And I put it in Marked. And Marked is the first of a trilogy. Mark, The Beginning of the End is the first. I am now working on Mark, The Return of the Giants, because I So God says, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because he said he's going to release these angels. And he says once they are released, they know their time is up. And so a lot of what we're seeing is just that. They know their time is up. And a lot of the stuff that they've been hiding, they're just not going to be able to hide anymore. And so so that's where I'm going with Mark, the Return of the Giants. Just been working on that, but I've been going through so many things that I've kind of had writer's block. So anyway, it still gives you some time to catch up. So Mark, Beginning of the End is out. You can go and read that, get that for a family member. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Peace.